entertaining podcasts I listen to. I don't listen to many. That one, Francine, is a different point of view. It's a female point of view, but someone who's been through the hardcore wars.
Yes.
So what Francine has to say to me matters and is important. And there are two guys up in New York, Monty and the Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
I find them hugely entertaining. I find them fun to listen to. But those three are the only three podcasts really other than, the PW Insider stuff that I listen to at all.
Big Ron Shaw here, the Earl of Upsets, telling you to watch my friends, Monty and the Pharaoh, on Long Island's #1 wrestling podcast show, and soon to be the world's #1 wrestling podcast show. That is going to be a big upset.
Welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh. But really, no longer going to use that, Jimmy. I think we're going to use the Howard Stern of pro wrestling. What do you think?
The Howard Stern of pro wrestling. Is that what we are? By the way, I saw the. I didn't realize we're combatants now, according to the advertisement for this show. We've got the loudmouth and the wise man. The problem is that I'm a loudmouth and a wise man. So who are you?
You know what? That is funny. That is funny because I was thinking the same thing. You are both those characters.
Yeah, kind of. But you definitely have a description. What would we call you? Come on.
I don't know. Fat, maybe.
Honorary? How
Not
about
honorary.
the honorable and honorary Michael Monty?
How about the man who just won't let it go? Will that work?
Okay.
The guy who just won't let it go. Listen, what was her name last week? The wrestler.
What, Sienna? I keep calling her Sienna, but I think you call her Allison Kay.
Allison Kay, right. So Allison Kay wasn't happy with our little videos as she felt it was clickbait. And you know what the funny thing? You probably knew this because you know what? You're the one that asked the question. So I got to give you credit, right?
All right?
She's the one. Her and Chelsea Green are the ones that outed Tessa Blanchard. Did you know that? Did you know that going in, or were you just that good?
I'm just that good. Come on.
Well, I got to give you credit because
I don't read every last thing on the internet, but I just felt that there was a sensible, logical connecting of the dots between those two situations. So I figured I'd throw it out there. So I threw it out there.
Well, she felt that we were using clickbait, and she wasn't happy with it. And you know what? To be honest with you, I guess the title that was chosen was Hulk Hogan doesn't deserve forgiveness, and Tessa Blanchard gets a pat, like Tessa Blanchard's forgiven or something like that. So, maybe I took some liberties, right? Because in reality, by saying nothing, you're saying Hogan doesn't deserve forgiveness. And by saying nothing about Tessa, you're saying you give her forgiveness.
Point taken. Can I just ask a question though? Like
Sure.
when you make, do you ask the AI or whatever to come up with the title? Like you give them a summary and they come up with the title? I mean,
so what I do is I write it up, right, where I want it to go.
Right.
Okay. So AI is kind of weird. It's good that you bring it up. So in some cases, I write it up the way I want it to go. And then I say, make it very catchy, make it funny,
right? Because that's what I feel when I read it. I feel like you didn't write that. I feel like, okay, that's an AI cat. That's what you're saying. In other
Yeah,
words, that's the
right,
vibe I get when I
exactly.
read it.
And then I
All
could
right.
say adjust it because it doesn't make sense.
All right.
But the
Yeah.
funny thing when it comes to our show, when I ask you questions about our show,
Right.
right? I'm telling you right now, like the Howard Stern of Pro Wrestling, I didn't write that. Like I didn't say calls to Howard Stern of Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, we've been
I
getting told
said
that from
please
day one.
well, I said please explain what the internet world thinks of Monty and the Pharaoh.
It's been that way
Because you
from day
stole
one.
right up. Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
has
that
been.
it wasn't
Started
my
right at the
directive.
beginning.
Yeah, so it wasn't my directive on that. So
Right. Okay.
so before we get into all the stuff we got to get into, let me see if I can pop this up. Oh, wait a minute.
Mike, real fast, the
Yeah.
question was fair that I asked last week, and the point is proven that there is a double-sided thing going on, and that it's perfectly okay to roast Hulk Hogan alive or dead, unfortunately at this point. And it's you don't say nothing about the ones you may cross paths with,
Well,
eventually at some point.
reading into it,
So
my assumption is
I
she
get it,
called
but
out Tessa, right?
yeah,
And that was a big thing. And Tessa still
well,
hasn't
good for her
been
then. That's
ultimately
fine.
forgiven. But here's the thing: she
Yeah.
probably lost a lot of bookings, right, or whatever else, considering she went after Tessa. So instead of
I'm
your
sure.
point is still valid. Instead of standing what you believe in, you're more
Right.
worried about yourself, and you don't. Which I can respect, dude. You got to feed
Well,
your family. You got to feed yourself.
at this point, she had to deal with the backlash of being brave. Let's discuss the positives of what you just said. It is positive that she did call her out if she saw something wrong and she called her out. Kudos, But what I've learned, at least from it's a strange example, but I'll use Yaromir Yager, and I'll use it very loosely because I don't remember all the details. But I remember there was a girl accusing him of something, and he said, "Get in line." He's like, "Do you know how many girls try to pull crap with me?" He goes, "I haven't done anything improper, and I don't apologize for my sexual activity." In other words, he didn't back off at all. And guess what? It went away. Nobody, he was like, "What? If you got something, come back to me." And
Right.
in her case, she blew the whistle and she caught backlash for it. And instead of standing strong, like you're pointing out, she seems to have taken a back pedal from it and been like, "Okay, nah, I'm not touching that." Well, you did touch it. True or false?
True.
So, look, nothing personal. It's our job to point these sorts of things out because people want to have it their way. You can't have it both ways. Well, it goes both ways. And if Hogan is open season, then Tessa seems to be open season too, and
Well,
that's
I
what I was
think
pointing out.
we had discussed this earlier in the week when Jimmy and I were speaking, and you brought up a very good point too, man. What is she, 39, 38? I
38.
forget what 38.
Yeah. Hmm.
Game's almost over, Bip. You know what I mean? Game's almost over. So
Logically, on a calendar, I mean, if she was somehow able to stretch this to 45, she's done an incredible job. But how far further are you going to go in your trajectory? Just being real, who knows? But odds are
I,
against
I
it.
think I think if you really look at it, the average wrestler who gets hot, even back
Yeah.
in the old days to today,
Hmm.
is probably about 4 to 5 years. It seems longer when you think of it, but when you look back, like Stone Cold Steve Austin was hot for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Maybe
Right.
four if you
Right.
really want to hold me to a timeline. Very
Right.
rarely are there Undertakers, John Cena's, Hulk Hogan's, right? Roddy Piper's. There's
Very rare.
Ric Flair's, right? There's
Very, very
yeah,
rare. And when I think about older world champions, I mean, outside of DDP, which is probably the best example, the guy
right.
really didn't start to do anything until he was 40, as far as a real push and becoming a main event world champion guy. It doesn't happen, or on the ladies' side. I would think he would be even harder on the ladies' side because the ladies are still breaking through everything right now. Yeah, they've arrived, but man, we're still in the early days of this when you really think about it. Evolution was a blink ago.
But Jimmy, even the better point, you're bringing up some really good points. Is this we discussed how a woman has to look and how a man has to look as especially as a wrestler, right? Once you
Yeah.
start hitting 40 years old, your body starts to slip a little bit, right? And especially on the women's side, I'm
Right.
not trying to be sexist or that way, but the
Right.
facts are the facts. The body doesn't hold up as
Yeah.
well. Now, again, 40 is not
Trish,
old; it's young, but
Trish,
still,
Trish has been an incredible exception to it. Trish Stratus.
agreed,
But
100%.
in general, no, and it comes for all of them. It comes for the men and the women. It does.
But the reality of it is, like you said to me, and I totally stand by what you said. You're 38. You've been in the Indies, babe. Take it easy. You know what I'm saying?
I would stand by my laurels. I would have been like, if you've already come out and you've already been public about it, then you're public about it. I mean, and you know what's funny? Even with all the things Tessa's done, maybe I'm just consistent in it. And you asked her, does your generation have any forgiveness?
Right.
I root for Tessa. I want Tessa to do well. I think Tessa's good for wrestling. I want to see Tessa in the ring. Tessa's engaging to me. I'll leave the channel on if I see Tessa Blanchard. So, look, it's not like she started some kind of cult movement and people are dead. She's a wrestler. She's done some bad shit. Okay. How about forgiveness? How about forgiveness from
Well,
Hulk
the
Hogan?
one thing she did
You
say
know?
is that Hulk didn't ask for forgiveness. He did. Now,
Yes,
whether
he
people
did.
believe him or not, that's up to
That's
them,
well, what do
right?
you want to
What
do
the fuck
after
do I
you?
know?
Yeah, and after you ask for forgiveness, what are you supposed to do after that anyway? If this is your deal and you've already apologized, oh, we don't believe you. Now what do I do? It's like you're going to spend the rest of your life trying to freaking apologize for something. I don't think so. You got to
Again,
live your
this,
life.
Jimmy, this also just goes all the way back to 2.5 months ago. Bubba the Love Sponge. That was your friend, dude. You just buried him, and you buried him on purpose. You caught him in a bad time, in a bad moment,
You
and
know
you
what? You got to
just
live with
buried him.
yourself. He's got to live with himself. Let him go live with himself. We can all spout back and forth. And look, we know who he is and what he is, and more importantly, what he isn't. So let him go live with his own conscience. I bet you he still has one. I think that's the ultimate foundation of the creator is that he leaves a conscience upon your soul. I'm sorry, that guy definitely is tormented on the inside. I'm sure you would agree with me. I don't think he's a happy
Sometimes, Jimmy,
individual.
sometimes I think certain people have the capabilities of just not being affected by the bullshit they do.
Possible.
You know what I mean? So
I won't dismiss that. Yeah, that's possible.
talk about it.
But
Talk
I
about
think
age.
that
Talk
I
about
think he's got
aging.
to see it.
Talk about aging. This week, a former news anchor has killed her husband, I believe, right? But the reason I bring it up is talk about aging, right? There she is, hot little minx, and then, and now she's this. I just, I, I don't know, dude. When I look at shit, I go, I can't believe the aging process. And even for us, it's like I'm having trouble grasping is what I'm trying to say. It's like people become unrecognizable. I mean, look at this girl, Jimmy. Beautiful, beautiful lady, and then not so beautiful. And the funny thing is when they show the picture, they show the young version. I go, why would this beautiful lady kill her husband? And then all of a sudden, you kind of go into the article and you go, oh, well, she's not what she used to be. There she is, right there. Former news anchor murders husband. All right, let's
Really?
let's get.
Was that a local woman? Where's this from?
I think it was DC, dude. I'd have to pull up the article.
DC. Well, Mike,
Yeah.
what about the more important thing? Obviously, the what happens to you on the outside as you age can get uglier for some folks. What about the ugliness on the inside as this is happening over the years? I bet you that. Come on, I mean that can't be lost here. That must have been part of whatever horror show finale she decided to pull in the final curtain. Oh, she must have been a trip to be around.
Let me ask you this question, man, because we have so
Aging
much.
sucks, dude.
We have a lot of shit to talk about, but let me ask you this: when I don't know how often you've seen death, right? But let's bring it to you're an animal lover like I am. When you have your animal and it's that time to put them down, and you watch the lights go out, like what's the feeling that you get when that happens?
Pain, hopelessness because you can't do anything, guilt because you can't do anything, pain, loss, love. At the center of the whole thing is love, which is really messed up because all of these other things are obviously dark, negative stuff. But at the center, it's all being caused because you love the animal. At the core is the love, but everything that comes with the finality is always tough. It's awful. I mean, I got a picture on my wall of one cat. I've had a million. You know me how long now, Mike? You've known me decades. I've had great cats over the years, but there's one picture on this wall, and it's Gray, the father of Crew, who's in this room. I had to put Gray down. He had developed spleen cancer and died within 3 weeks. There was no warning of him being sick. We found out he had spleen cancer. I had 3 weeks with him. And I remember when the doctor told me it was time that, it was time, I didn't want to be in the room. And for some reason, he told me, he goes, "You want to be here."
Of
And
course.
I didn't want to. I couldn't bear it because he was my favorite of all the cats I've ever had. His story to me was the best because he was the one outdoor cat who came up to me willingly. Cats don't normally do that. And he came up to me willingly and sat at my feet and looked up and asked me to take him in the house. I could tell. I don't speak cat, but I could tell, And he let me take him in the house. He became the father of these kittens. He was such a great cat. And I watched the lights go out as I held him. And you said the lights go out. It's a very gentle way of saying that death came calling. And it's like, oh, it's brutal.
So you got to be psychic because I was just having this conversation, I believe, with my wife about a particular subject. When you own an animal, and again, I'm not knocking anything you just said there. It was very well said, or well spoken. But as an animal owner, when that time comes, you have that responsibility to be with them, right? Because it's like they know you and they've got to be comforted on the passing or the step over.
Of course.
I guess the whole point of this conversation, as we veered into this, is like, look, sometimes death, even when you murder someone, for example, out of defense, the burden, if you're normal, lives with you forever.
It lived with Scott Hall.
Yeah.
We had him in.
I would almost think that was one of his major problems, Jimmy.
He talked about it with us, Of course it fucks you up. It fucked him up. And he had to do it. Ugh.
But he had to do it. Yeah. So my point to you is, when you look for normality out of murderers, I don't know if it's there, I guess is my point. And so you were like, hey, you know what, this girl, she's going to have to live with it. Bubba, the love sponge, is going to have to live with it. Part of me feels, Jimmy, that they just don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
They might not. You could be right. You may be right. You may not be right. It depends on the individual. You know what the scariest thing is? You said something interesting. Normalcy when dealing with murderers. What's really interesting about a lot of murderers, when you look at their background, there's a lot of normalcy, and it makes you scratch your head and go, now, how did this one turn out this way? There are those types, So it's a crapshoot. I hate to say it that way, but it's a crapshoot as to what makes the crazy person crazy. His background could be, daddy owns a fucking golf membership at the local, Bethpage Black over here, But it could be.
All right, before we get into our subjects today, let's run through the list here. We got an Jason Morning in the house. Jason, how are you? John, Descendants, how are you, John? Always good to see you as usual. Let's see who else we got. ESO Creator, Bruce. Me and Jimmy were talking. You've been replaced by Bruce the Cat, unfortunately. I hate to say that. A mess, I got to tell you, my friend. I saw you had messaged us. I'm sorry for not responding. I hope everything is well. So, Jimmy, on our website, it's hosted by Squarespace. And somehow I let the license expire, so I've got to reuse it. So if you didn't hear from me, it's because our webpage isn't working. So I have to apologize. Hey, we're all about open discussion here. Jay Will, good to see you. Woodster, how are you, buddy? I got to tell you guys, we've got a lot of great shows coming up. You're going to love it. And I will tell you a little secret surprise. I don't see him in the room right now, but Jimmy, we're going to interview Ribshot.
Okay.
So we're going to have a meeting with Ribshot on Saturday about 11 a.m. He's from England, I think. He's from Europe, right? So
good.
We're going to meet with him, but we're going to do a special kind of interview. So we're going to surprise people with that. And we'll talk about the other guests we have on coming up shortly. And then we got a lot to go on. But Jimmy, first, we talked about murder. We talked about problems. Our own great state in New York has now elected a new mayor, Zohan Madani. Am I saying that right, Jimmy?
Zoran Mondani. Yeah, what about him? Mondani.
Zohan Madani is now the new mayor of Manhattan. Let me talk to you about a little bit about Zohan.
Yeah.
He's never held a real job.
Shocking.
He's a self-proclaimed socialist, proud of card-carrying member of the DSA.
We already know what he stands for. He's made that even more apparent with his victory speech. Go on.
He's pushed hard to defund the police.
Yes. He has a lot of safe ideas. Continue. Yes.
Born in Kampala, Uganda.
Excellent. And
moved here to the U.S.
Why wouldn't you be running New York? Go ahead.
He's deeply tied to AOC's political circle, which explains a lot about where the city is headed.
Fantastic. Well,
I'm going to say this to you, Jimmy. I'll start with this. Mm-hmm. You will not see me in fucking Manhattan for the next 4 fucking years. How about that?
Not going. I agree. Not going. Let's just cut to the chase as far as demographics goes. I would like to very politely tell the younger voting generation, you are not being taught anything correctly in school, and you have lost your minds. Enjoy. I'm out.
Can I tell you something now?
Yeah.
I think you were thinking like I was thinking, bro. I was thinking to myself, like, I'm in shock right now. I am in shock.
No, I'm not.
But guess what?
Yeah.
There's no Americans in the city anymore. And the ones that did vote for him are the ones that don't want to do anything.
Right.
They want to sit at home and suck on the government tit, dude. I mean, that's what it is.
Those are the ones that voted for him. They get up at 11 o'clock in the morning and they leave mommy and daddy's house and they do whatever little work they do to make whatever little money they do. Then they club with their friends at 10 o'clock at night. And anything that stands for what built this country, Christian Judeo values or biblical values that reflect the same as the Christian Judeo values, that is all shit. And Trump's a Nazi, and this is what's really good for America is just to have this.
This guy won by a landslide, by the way, Jimmy. It was a landslide.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, in my opinion, I'm actually very disappointed, if I can say so, in Cuomo and Sliwa not realizing what I already knew, and most people probably did know going weeks back, that this guy was going to win unless one of you concedes to the other, and you guys pool those votes together.
You know what? That is a great point, but I don't mean to interrupt you, but I would almost think if they did, he still would have blew them all out.
I would have appreciated the attempt, Michael.
Got it. I understand. Okay. I understand.
Because the needs of the many still outweigh the needs of the few or the one. All right. So someone there had to drop their ego, and they didn't. All right. That's not a good thing. I'm also you know that I support President Trump 1,000,000,000%, but I'm frustrated right now because Trump's stance has basically been, well, New York, you asked for it, now you're going to get it, and to me it's frustrating because Donald Trump is New York.
So if I look into it a little bit, if I could be a little bit of a fortune teller,
sure.
First of all, congratulations go to the people of Manhattan and the boroughs for voting in this guy.
Right.
Your city is going to burn. It's going to burn. Giuliani cleaned up that city, and it slowly became the ones that we saw. Some people are too young to realize, but on TV back in the day, whenever they had a movie about Manhattan, it was always a very scary place. The Drudges. People that never went there were
back in the day. It was,
and they were scared. It got cleaned up, and it became actually a beautiful place to go. I loved going there. It slowly has gotten worse. What have we seen over the years? We've watched people burn in the subways. We've watched people get raped in front of everybody. We've seen everything. Now we got this guy running it who's trying to defund the police. He never held a chop. The city's going to burn. But let me just finish this comment, Jimmy. My future thing is when the city begins to burn, then the federal government's going to step in.
Agreed.
And then Donald Trump is going to reign supreme in Manhattan.
Agreed. I actually see what you see as far as that goes. As far as I do believe that there will be a military involvement down the road. I do, because he's going to. And here's where it gets interesting too, because the police are not going to help this mayor when he just tries to implement his ideas. You understand
Right.
what I'm saying?
Sure.
They're not going to. So it's going to be very interesting to see what sort of. I'm being very serious when I say this. What sort of opposing force he tries to use and through what physical means? He's not going to get help from the police. He's going to get help from somebody. You understand? When Trump comes in, you don't think that the mayor's not going to have some sort of physical response to that? He's already made threats he would. Or does he just put his hands up right away? I'm not so sure. This is crazy shit we're talking about possibly happening.
It's a really good point, dude. It could be federal government against state government. It could be pretty scary.
You understand what I'm seeing here, okay? Because you suggested it, but I actually am seeing this, is what I'm telling you. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. All right, what I'm seeing. So this could really get real ugly real fast. But let me hammer this home. The people that I described to you earlier, the people you spoke about that led me to describing them, don't know about 9/11. They are 25 years old tops. Some of these people we're describing, they're from 18 voters age to 25 or so. None of them know 9/11. By the time they were able to start really thinking, what were you, like 8 to 10, when your memories really start to become strong and you got cohesive understanding of things and stuff like that? As a small child, you're really starting to form shit. Their earliest memories are Obama's ideology, transferred to who, and then Trump tries to do, the old school thing and gets completely profiled and called this, that, and the other thing, gets shot and all this other stuff. And then we're back to Biden, who's not just one more Obama. These kids have never seen anything that you're describing when New York was rough. And then Rudy came in and cleaned it up. And we were all very appreciative. All backgrounds, by the way. Can I say that, Mike?
Yeah.
All backgrounds were very appreciative when the city was cleaned up. It became a beautiful place to go again. Manhattan was something once upon a time, kids.
Jay Will says a state-run grocery store will only stock spam. He's right. I mean, the guy's a socialist.
Mike, did you hear about the state-run stores? No more lotto, no more alcohol or tobacco or something like that in the whatever is run by the city or something like that. I'm like, what? He's already
well. First of all, you're an idiot if you get rid of the lottery. The lottery funds so much shit.
Yeah,
it's not
I
even
think
fucking
apparently
funny.
I think apparently that was what I was hearing. I was like, huh? Now, who knows if it's true?
Listen, socialist government. Okay, again, there's a difference between socialism and communism. I'm certainly aware of this, right? But socialism is the breeding ground for non-capitalism, and
right.
it's a major problem. And again, the bigger picture is, as we slowly get eaten from the inside, will be this much easier to take over from the inside. And again, Jimmy, we're not going to be around to see it. So that's might be the
around. Don't kid yourself. We might be around to see some of it. It's progressing rapidly fast now. And whether you love or hate President Trump, he said something when he was asked about this new mayor. He said that his socialistic society idea has been failing for over 1,000 years. All you have to do is read the history books. This shit don't work. This shit is dangerous, and it don't work here. That's for shit sure. So do what you want with that information, but it is what it is.
Civil war could be the case. But again, just like, I said to people, Jay Will says, capitalism has helped me get out of poverty. It's the best thing going today. Woo! Yeah, that's right. Capitalism is the way to go.
Well, the thing that I can't get past either, and I'm sorry, but I got to say it. Why do you come here? Why do you come here from your country, which you clearly were oppressed by, whatever country it may be, and there's plenty of them to choose from. Choose your country. Why do you come here and then hang the flag of that country that you ran from so you could live freely? Hang a freaking flag on your fucking rearview mirror of your car and then go into a diatribe hating on our fucking people and our ways and just taking advantage of everything. And then you call us a racist when after you do aforementioned things, I say to you, get the fuck out of here. What the fuck makes me a racist? Did I come into your yard and pee in your pool? Loudmouth and wise man. Right, Mikey?
You're 100% right, man.
I'm sorry, folks. I don't mean to offend, but maybe I do at this point. Fatigue. There you go. The F word. Fatigue.
But again, to be fair, the people have spoken.
Fatigues.
Watch it burn, folks. Watch it burn. Jimmy, the LA Dodgers are the new World Series champion. I know this is a wrestling show, guys, but there's the facts. I said to my father, he's big, he loves baseball.
Uh-oh.
And I said to him, Dad, you're just not getting it. Today's sport is no different than pro wrestling. What do you mean, son? Well, this is what I mean, Dad. It's all about ratings. It's all about money. I said, it's a work. And he goes, that doesn't make sense. I said, yes, it does. I said, the Dodgers could destroy the Blue Jays at any moment, every game, period. 9 out of 10 games, the Dodgers are winning. I don't know if you agree, Jimmy. I'm just giving my opinion.
I'm going to let you go. I'm letting you go. Go ahead.
And I said to him, this is going 7. They lost that first game just to make sure people all of a sudden became intrigued. I said, I guarantee to you, again, I'm not trying to brag. I said this will go extra innings and the Dodgers will win the game in game 7. There's no doubt in my mind because it's a work. And so the next question, even my wife asked, how can you get 18 players, coaches, and a bench to all agree on that? I said, it's not that. It's the umpires. It's the announcers or whoever's involved. It only takes 1 or 2 bad calls to change a game. We all know this if you have a favorite team. And I'll even use Game 7 as an example. That throw home, that guy's foot was off, the catcher's foot was off that plate. I don't care how you slice it and dice it. You can clearly see it. That's the end of that game. That out call opens up the floodgates. You might sound it ridiculous, but I'm telling you, and I'm not so sure that there isn't ball players involved too. Who the fuck knows? But go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay. Well, as we know, this goes back over 100 years anyway when shit's getting thrown and the White Sox scandal of all those years in 1919, Shoeless Joe Jackson still banned.
One player.
Blah, blah, blah.
One player, right? One player affected that.
No. Let's not open
No,
up.
there was like 4 players. There was
a bunch involved, and there was mob involved, and there was a bunch of shit involved.
That's fair.
And honestly, Joe didn't know about it. Joe hit 375 and had a great World Series, but he was like I don't know. He should not have been. He should be long cleared. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother can of worms. But what I think is, I don't agree with you that the Dodgers could just beat them anytime they wanted. What I do agree with you on is that I think what is very possible, and now sports betting is involved in baseball legally now, right? Now everybody can gamble, right, Mike? They've done that. They've opened that door, right? Okay. Yep. So what I think happens sometimes, I can see it happening, not definitively because I don't know for sure, but I can see, like you said, the umpire has been instructed by somebody in Major League office, someone who knows, someone who's involved in the legal betting aspect in that department, whatever. It's tied into betting. It's got to be tied into betting.
It's also tied into ratings. Look, I can guarantee this. If the Dodgers win game 1, no one's watching that World Series. It's a waste of time. Everybody knows it's over. Right. This is not the Yankees-Dodgers, okay? The lore of the team isn't fair.
But you know what, though? That works. To me, that works in reverse, though. I could play devil's advocate with that and go, now, wait a minute. If you're going to do a work, and you want the ratings, and you want all the big time that comes with the work and everything, then you make sure that last year's World Series, the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers go 7 games. Not this one with the Toronto Blue Jays. No. That's the WrestleMania.
No, because here's what you're missing now. They were going to have. Listen, if it goes 7, absolutely. But here's the thing. But the Yankees and the Dodgers, if I could look up the ratings, and I haven't looked, so to be fair, but if I look up the ratings, I guarantee that series did 10 times better than this series.
Yeah, the sponsors and the money they're going to fork out for a Yankees-Dodgers World Series, come on, dude. It's sexier. It's way sexier. Now, as far as all 18 to answer what your wife was at? No, of course not. No way. If Shohei Ohtani, they won the World Series the last 2 years, and Shohei Ohtani in the World Series has hit for shit. Garbage. Nothing. He's got 2 rings, and the rest of the team's the one that did it in the World Series both times. He's done nothing. So why would he spit the bit for both World Series? He wouldn't, But like you said, I think it's umpires and somebody up in Major League front office when that weird shit happens.
Look,
I think that's very possible.
I'll say this about the NFL. Even our team, the Jets, the worst fucking team out there, the talent level is so close to each other.
Is it?
That
doesn't feel like it to me.
It
when
doesn't.
I'm watching the Jets, I
understand. But in reality, Jimmy, it's very, very close. Okay? Even when you look at a betting line, right? 7 points is a touchdown. Much. It's not a lot. Okay? You rarely see an NFL game where the bookies are giving someone 18 points. Like, it just doesn't happen because the talent is way too tight. So back to our point about the referee or the umpire, 1 call, 2 calls, the game changes.
Yep.
The game changes.
How many times do you think that there was a fix-in involving Tom Brady over the years? Patrick Mahomes.
It's so funny, Jimmy. It's hard for me to say that because only within the last 3 or 4 years have I been thinking real pro sports is fixed, and it coincides with what you just said. Sports betting has become available to everybody now, so there's no surprise that's the way I'm thinking. And to be honest with you, when I told my father that, I truly believed it. No matter what was going on, Jimmy, at no point did I ever think the Dodgers were losing that series. Never, never.
I didn't think so either, to be very honest. I didn't think that they would lose it anyway.
Even when they were going in the top of the 9th, down by 1, I was like, they're going to win this thing. I wasn't even concerned.
Yeah. I wasn't either. The Dodgers right now are doing everything that the Yankees used to do. That's the bottom line.
All I'm saying is don't make fun of pro wrestling because we're seeing it work at this shit all the time. And, let's be honest, dude. We were lifelong Knicks fans, right?
Yeah.
How many times did we see the refs make sure that Michael Jordan,
Well, does that become just favoritism or does that become the betting line going back 30 years ago, too? That's why I brought up Tom Brady, because I think about Deflategate. You know what I mean? And if you go, now you're going back even further. Hell, we started this conversation in 1919 with poor Shoeless Joe.
Right.
Look, this shit has possibly been going on the whole time, Mike. But is it going to stop you and me from watching next week?
Well, you got a better memory than I do, but I remember when I got home from the military, like early on, wasn't there a game where was it the Braves Mets where the umpire was calling strikes, I think for Smoltz, or what game was that, where the guy's strike zone was so fucking ridiculous. He was calling strikes on like every pitch. They were all over the place. I'm not expecting you to remember, but you have a really good memory.
No.
I just remember that fucking game was like, it was a playoff game, I had thought. Anyway.
Well, if it's the Mets, then you're not talking too many playoff games, especially during the 90s. It would have to be the late 90s. If that's the case,
maybe it was the Mets. I know it was the Braves, and I just remember the umpire. If anyone out there remembers that game, it's like that dude's strike zone was like, but it was like for one team it was this huge, and the other team it was like this, and it was like, what? This is bullshit. I think the guy got fired after that game.
That's interesting because the only ump that comes to mind is the legendary Angel Hernandez, because he stayed around for decades, and he used to hold personal. He would be unreasonable just to be unreasonable with his strike zone. He was the worst umpire.
I remember this guy was like a giant black guy. Eric Gregg. Thank you, Jay Will.
Eric Gregg.
Wait a minute, I'm a popicist. Man, Jay Will, boy, I gotta tell you.
That's pretty impressive.
Rumor has it that Carol. I can't read this. I gotta put my glass on. Hold on. Sorry, guys. The way my screen is, I cannot read with my sunglasses. This is why we need a producer. Rumor has it that Carol Rosenblum and Bob Ursi swapped the Rams and Colts gambling. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I still remember when they snuck the Colts out in the middle of the night with the tractor trailers. You remember that, Mike, back in the 80s when we were kids?
Well, let me ask you this, Jimmy. Do you remember who was the referee that admitted he was betting on games in the NBA?
Oh, that was
right?
not that long ago, too. I
Yeah.
can't. I'm sure someone in the chat will recall the name, but I do know you. I do remember. I got the face in my mind too. But yep. Whoops. It's been going on forever, dude. I mean, what is it going to make me stop watching? Probably not. Any thoughts on the real quick? Look, we're Jet fans, folks. Any thoughts, Mike, on what the Jets have just done?
Wait, just real quick. A
What do you
mess
got?
says for Christmas, I need to buy you some Toronto Blue Jay paraphernalia, memorabilia. What do I think about what the Jets did? I think it's typical Jets. I think after speaking to you, I kind of said, okay, I'm happy with what they did, but I still don't believe in the coach and I don't believe in the GM. So, and I don't believe in, we talk about it. We're going to talk about it when Sergeant Slaughter goes head to head with Marty Jannetty, right?
All right.
The back of the baseball card. The Jets have proven that they cannot
Putrid. Putrid.
make draft picks.
Who would you entrust the franchise with, real quickly? Is John Gruden good for you? Because if it's John Gruden, or more importantly, my choice, Mike McCarthy, are you happy with either one of them to
I
take
would
these
go with
draft picks?
McCarthy. I would go with McCarthy
I
before
agree.
Gruden.
McCarthy, 5
yeah.
first-round picks and 3 second-rounds in the next 2 seasons. I would love Mike McCarthy to have that. I'm sorry, guys.
I would too. And I don't think it should be up to this rookie coach who proved to me he can't even coach a game.
Right. The GM.
I mean, Jimmy,
good
and I'm not
actually.
kidding about this. I would rather have you coaching this team. That's how. This
Mike,
is what.
I tell you what. For that job, I would get a haircut immediately. For that job, you'd see the Pharaoh shave his fucking head and go in there. I'm not bringing a whistle because I don't want to get tagged with a bad gimmick. But I'm fucking going in there. I might wear the shades. Still might wear the shades though, and just read them the riot act that once upon a time this franchise changed the fucking NFL with Joe Namath in the Super Bowl, made it what it is today, changed defense by forcing the league to recognize the sack as an official statistic from the sack exchange with Castro and Klecko, and to remember that the Jets have done something once in a while around here. Let's go back to doing something. What is this crap that's going on here? And I like that we lost good players, but how many playoff games did they ever win, Mike, with those good players?
Listen, all your points, I can't argue at all.
If you're gonna reboot.
But you know what? I'm still going to stick to this, man. And I hate to say it, and I'm not kidding about it. In order for them to actually turn into a real team, Joe Namath's got to die, dude.
Oh, come on. Here we go.
I'm sorry.
I want to kiss you.
He sold his soul to win that Super Bowl, dude. Yes, he did.
He did not. He showed something that the New York Jet players in general at quarterback haven't shown since the day he left. Balls. It's not his fault. Stop it.
And by the way,
that.
many of the Colt players say that game was rigged.
Ah, bullshit. They lost and they're sore about it.
Yeah, that's a Jet fan for you.
They're sore about it because they thought Joe was going to throw all day, and he faked them out by throwing. And after that, they looked for it all game, and he just bled them to death with the running game and short passes. Piss off. We held the ball almost the entire game, and we intercepted your quarterbacks 3 times. Piss off.
Wow.
You lose.
Wow.
You lost. Deal with it. The big NFL lost to the little AFL. Too bad. Finger wave. Where's the camera?
We'll hang on that for the rest of our lives, right?
That's all I got. Leave me alone.
All right. Nick Khan recently had said that the WWE is going to remain bullish on their tickets, supply and demand. They're having the best years in the history of this company. What do you think, Jimmy? This is a big subject for the regular fan like you, me, and everybody else in this room. Forget about just ticket prices to go see the event. Let's talk about let's talk about the conversation we had. Netflix, Peacock, ESPN, and cable. If you want to watch your wrestling and you want to not miss a second, you got to pay for the $29.99 ESPN package, $9.99 for Peacock. Right. And a lot of people go, you don't need Peacock anymore. Yeah, you do if you want to watch Saturday night's main event. Right. Yeah. Netflix is what? $9.90. I forget what I pay for Netflix, $9.99. And then if you got cable, it's $300 a month, $280. What are your thoughts on that, buddy?
Here's my thoughts. You know what I miss? I miss having Vince McMahon around to remember the fans are first and foremost, and that may sound really strange to those folks who hate Vince McMahon, but it's the truth about Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, sure, he was the ultimate capitalist and made the most money he could, but he knew that without the fans, I can't make any money. So he always made sure it was affordable. I miss the days, and it wasn't even that long ago, Mike, where Vince had figured it out to a really nice, happy medium compared to what you just described is going on today. He came up with the WWE Network. Awesome, Mike. The WWE Network, come on. I know it's gone now already, but like, can we give it its flowers? Loved it. You could watch anything on it. It was great. If you wanted to see Raw and SmackDown, it was on cable. It was nice and simple. I had my history, I had my live event, and I had my freaking shows. Two basic things. I think that that's the happy medium, and I think it works splendidly. But then we start branching out, and we're doing what we're doing now. They've lost me, Mike. I can't I won't go to live events anymore. You stopped going to live events. It's not there's not enough it factor happening in the product nowadays. They're charging ridiculous prices. If you want to see all the shows and you want to know the whole storyline, you got to go through 4 different apps. How much does it come to a month, Mike?
If you're paying for cable, it could probably cost you somewhere around $425 a month.
What are you trying to do to the fans? What are you trying to do to the fans? You know, it's like
Look at Phil. 1981 cable was $8.95 a month. Wrestling was on every channel.
Yeah, well,
ESO's been talking about he feels like the ratings are going way down in the WWE and their revenue. But here's the thing. I thought, Jimmy, you brought up a really good point. And I don't want to take your fire because it was a fantastic point when we were talking about it earlier this week.
yeah,
You were talking about what wrestling was. It was episodic TV.
it is. It still is. It's not as good as it used to be, but that's what they're trying to sell you on is episodic. How can I have episodic television if I can't afford all your apps? You're shutting me out. You can't shut out the basic fan. Vince knew this. Well, you know what? The whole world wanted a wrestling world free of Vince. Well, congratulations, you got it now.
Really,
Now
I
you
got
came through
I
the
got to
roof.
address one thing. Jay Will, I love you. I respect you, but I got to tell you, I've been trying to go AEW considering because it's me and Jimmy were talking. It's almost even if you have the money and it's not going to hurt you, there has to be some kind of some point you go, I cannot, I don't want to be raped, right? I don't want to be raped. So let me go watch AEW. Jay, I'm sorry. That's the worst. It's so fucking bad. Everything. I sat
You know,
down, Jimmy, yesterday and watched the Briscoe and Don Callis go back and forth. I'm like, this is just fucking bad.
hmm
It's like
hmm
secondary television,
hmm
man.
well, you know what? And I don't know how you and I have come across to the fans all these years as far as our love level for professional wrestling. Look, we both clearly do love professional wrestling,
Sure.
obviously. But
Sure.
I have to make this clear. I've been watching wrestling, here's the key part, on and off, sometimes off, since 1975 or so, when I first saw the Wolfman and they put that X up on the screen. All right. So there's been times where wrestling, I'm sorry, sucks,
Right.
does nothing for me. I don't watch. I don't have to, like, for example, in the mid 90s when we had the cartoon land of Vince McMahon and WCW hadn't gotten the NWO thing going yet, like 94, 95. No thanks, man. I'm in a band. I got other shit to do. You know, I didn't care about it. And there were other phases that I didn't care about it. Honestly, they lost me when John Cena started getting pushed, Mike. You probably started paying attention. I went the other way. I'm like, eh. And there was nothing else going on around that I thought was so great that I had to watch wrestling. CM Punk brought me back. I told the story. You know, he brought me back.
Well,
I
I mean,
liked it.
what's that saying for the state of the WWE is now they put the strap back on CM Punk. It's like the guy's 40 something years old, and I'm not
Right.
knocking Punk.
No,
He's great. But Jimmy,
it's
I
got nothing
gotta
to do
tell
with it.
it's
Yeah.
here's the bigger thing. It's episodic television. So if you want to see your storylines, you gotta you there's no fluidity to it, right? It's like you got a Netflix, Peacock, SmackDown, PLE. It's here's the thing, man. I can definitely see wrestling getting turning so bad and getting such a downturn that this gets sold off to some foreign country, and then, we could see WCW all over again. And by the way, I think a mess talked about Vince Russo is now promoting Juggalo Championship Wrestling, JCW. Vince Russo's full of shit all the time, too. I'm done with wrestling. I don't got nothing to do with wrestling. I hate wrestling. But you know what? He's always involved.
Oh, please. He's the ultimate carny clown. Come on. And this is going to be nothing
Thank you.
This is going to be nothing more than a fucking blip on the radar. Stop it, JCW. That's nice. Whatever. Come on. Hey, Mike, you want to go to see Combat Zone Wrestling? I'm fighting in a death match. You want to go?
Well, if you fight in a death match,
it's in Patterson, New Jersey. Me and some other nerd on the internet, we're going to try to talk each other to death. There's a typewriter up on a pole. You're going to love it. Vince Russo came up with the idea. What do you think?
I am falling out of love with pro wrestling, man.
Currently,
I still love the old guys, dude, but it's like I'm getting really tired of it.
Currently, I agree. When you have main event guys, you stop me if anything sounds wrong here. When some of your main event players, like, for example, Drew McIntyre, has the same feel as what they did to Dolph Ziggler when he was demoted down to mid-card level. For how many years did Dolph Ziggler live in Grayland? This McIntyre's in that, and he's in the main event spot. I'm like, oh, no, this is not
but
working.
Look, I'm just going to give you my viewpoint on it. I try not to disagree with the decisions either company makes, right? Because, again,
I think we have
to
a
me,
right to. Depends.
No, but my point is when people I saw one of those dirt sheets wrote Drew McIntyre losing to Cody Rhodes got a record number of thumbs down on YouTube. Drew McIntyre cannot carry your company. I'm sorry. He looks great. He's good on the mic. He's a good wrestler. He just doesn't have it.
And you're booking him to the point of exhaustion, and he feels like Sheamus 2.0.
Thank you. Very, very good. Very good.
Come on. And we don't want that in the main event scene. You've got to move on. Where are your stars? Where are your stars? We talk about this every week. Where are your stars? And you better hurry up. You need them. You can't keep relying on the old school formula with the old school guys and the big names from the past. You got to freaking grow a new garden. This is where Vince always retooled. You know what I watched the other night? It was amazing. The debut of The Shield. Boy, oh boy. Talk about having a game plan for your future. You remember the debut of The Shield where they came in, the night they came in? It was like, oh my God. And think about what those three went on to do in the business. And Vince didn't waver one bit when it came to pushing them. Holy shit. You know?
Well, because, listen, Vince was a genius. As much as some people don't like him, the guy was right. Yeah. The guy was right most of the time. And when he was wrong, somehow he got it right anyway.
Say what you want about him, but you cannot deny that when the garden got rotten, he knew how to turn the soil over. Every spring, my father would take that stupid tiller outside. Did you ever use one of those when you were a kid, Mike?
Absolutely.
And, he would take that tiller out there, and he would get the ground all stirred up and ready for the next foundation, the next soil for the flowers he was going to plant. And look at those guys. Look at those guys. Like, talk about having an idea of what you want to do with your company for the next 10 years. And that's exactly. They said, Fred, the Shield are one of my all-time favorites, Mike. I was thinking about this real fast. I'll bore you. Greg Valentine, Hulk Hogan, Demolition, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Rob Van Dam, Chris Jericho, Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the Shield. I think I'm good. I think I got everybody that really...
Is there any possibility that Moxley comes back and the Shield reunite?
Yes. One day before it's all said and done. Yes.
Well, this is the time, right? Because you have the vision. If you could pull that out of a hat, you know what I mean?
But we're doing it again, though. It's like, here we come to save the day. We were cool about 50 years ago. Away. I said, come on, man. It's like, here we go. Well, it would be great. I'd love it. But then what? And you know what the worst part is that their ultimate rivalry, 2/3 of them are dead. The Wyatt family, like, if we could bring back the Wyatt family with the return of the Shield, bonkers. We'd all be going by, except Bray's gone and Luke is gone. And The Shield thing, man. Did you like Roman in the Shield as much as you liked it? It's probably a stupid question.
No,
How do
no,
you
but
measure those two?
I liked. Well, when the Shield first came out, I liked Moxley, right? Because I think he was U.S. champion.
Moxley was the first one they
Yeah,
pushed, and I was surprised.
I
I
liked him.
remember
He had a different type of attitude.
he
But then
did.
I slowly started rolling to Roman. I always was a Roman fan, and
Right.
it's not
Yet
like I'm
Seth,
trying to say I knew he was going to be as big as he is now. I had no clue.
yet
But
Seth, the whole time was clearly the best package. I
yeah,
always knew
but
that too,
again,
watching them.
I've
Yeah,
always had respect for Seth Rollins
they
because
all
he's always
had.
stood by the WWE. No
Yeah. Oh
matter
yeah.
what,
Roman
he was
too.
there.
Roman
Roman
too.
too. But for some reason, did Roman not get along with McMahon? Could that be
I don't.
possible?
I no. I don't think so. I does. Well, I tell you what. If it was true at all, it definitely didn't reflect in his booking. Vince always stood by Roman. Always, even with the. And it's not Roman's fault, but who wrote the suffering succotash line? That's when it was really like, uh-oh, you
Well,
better save Roman. No, seriously, that was the point where the fans truly had enough of the Roman booking and
but
like
wasn't that during COVID? Was that COVID at that point?
no, it was in front of a live audience. I remember the live audience. I was like, did he just, or
With the
was it?
dog food, right? With the
You
dog
know
food
what? The
with
fact that there was no reaction when he said it, it very well could have been COVID. It was
I
like crickets when he said it. And I'm like, did he just say suffering fucking? I'm like, did he
Jimmy, I
really?
gotta be honest with you.
Wow.
The more and more when like things happen, like I'll see something, I'm like, holy shit, I forgot that even happened.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like
Yeah.
I remember more stuff when we were 16, 17, 15, 14 than I do when I
Yeah.
was 30 and 40, right? Because
Yeah.
it's just like, it's
Yeah.
just not,
No,
remember.
no. That's all very true. Oddly enough, your early memories of Moxley, because I was surprised too when Ambrose got the belt in the early push. I was surprised he was the first one to get a push. Look, whether we like him or not, or whatever path he chose afterwards, it's going to sound bizarre, but we both know it's always been out there during his career. To a younger generation of fans that watched both the WWE and probably support AEW, this is the closest thing to Stone Cold Steve Austin they've ever had. Whether we like that or not, that's the truth to some of these folks. So I do give him credit for walking his own path, and what do we always say? Like he hasn't wavered on it. And
No,
if he did come back, I wouldn't blame him coming back at this point. Do you really want him to come back at 58 years old? No. If you're gonna do it now. I wouldn't hold anything against him for doing it. He's earned his right to take one last moment back over there. So, but what how would they bring in the original Shield? Would it be to fight this?
I would
This
say the
this.
Vision, right?
I think that'd be great.
Oh, dude, I'd be all in.
But they
You'd be
can't put
all in
them
too.
over.
We'd
They're
both
not
be
going to put them.
so.
Are they going to put them over?
Oh, of course.
Oh,
God.
I don't see now. I don't like any of this. That doesn't work for me, Bret Hart.
Wait, you got to put the Shield over the Vision.
Oh, thank you. I thought you meant the
No,
up and coming vision.
no,
Oh,
no.
thank you. Yeah, no.
Listen, in the end result, Jimmy,
Okay.
the
We're good.
formula never changes. Good must beat evil. The problem is no one can ever find someone evil enough
Right.
anymore. Like back in the
Right.
day, you hated guys. Now it's like you can never, even Dom Mysterio, who was so hated, is now beloved.
Right. You know who you can blame for this, don't you? At some point, this had to start. This starts with the first anti-hero that is over for acting like a bad guy, but he's a good guy, Stone Cold.
Absolutely.
So since then, we've got all this gray matter when it comes to bad guys. What is nefarious? What counts as being truly villainous? Something that I think MJF had
But
completely down.
here's the problem,
You
Jimmy.
know,
The good guy usually the merchandise sells the most, right? Because it's kids and everything else. No one really wants to be the bad guy. Even MJF, as stupid as it's like listen, if you're going to be a bad guy, you got to be a bad guy. And there's so many different ways to I was watching the Von Erich documentary on something, and I almost think Bill Colville, who was on the show, said it, but don't hold me to it. He might even said it on our show, but he said they actually put a gimmick guy in a wheelchair, and Fritz Von Erich jumped out of the ring and like threw the guy off the wheelchair and started
right,
kicking the crippled guy.
right.
I mean, you really want to get heat. That's the type of shit you got to do.
Well, they'll never do that today. And as you're saying this stuff, it made me really think about the WWE roster currently. And you talked about how the good guys usually the one that sells the most merchandise. And I started thinking about the good guys that used to sell the most merchandise, that carried the company and were the face of Hulk Hogan, John Cena,
Mm-hmm.
Cody Rhodes. Well, here's the problem. Seems to me like we're missing a super, super, super sexy, totally fucking over the top stud superstar as a face.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Well,
Because you can't have one without the other, because what have we discovered for a billion years with the Jets? Even when our defense threatens to be good and actually is good, we don't have the offense.
right.
So
But here's the
where
thing,
is-
Jimmy, though. If you
you
hang
know-
around too long like Cody Rhodes, all of a sudden you fall out of favor. So what does the
Right.
WWE do? They go, okay, let's not let Roman fall out of favor. So now we're going to put Roman in the Andre the Giant role, right?
Right.
Come back. And I call it the Andre the Giant role because it's not
Right.
really the Andre, but everybody gets what I'm saying here.
Right.
So it's like he comes back, he wins, then he gets beat up, disappears, comes back, wins, right? Don't let anyone get too bored of the guy. Like,
Right.
you know, again, you knew this was going to happen to Cody, right? You just
Right.
knew eventually it was going to happen.
Oh, it was going to run its course. We knew that. We knew it was going to run its course. But where is your replacement? Look, there's plenty of bad guys. A Joker can be sufficient. A Batman is imperative. You got to have a Batman. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Even the worst Batman episodes, I'll still watch because Batman's in it. You know,
Like, dude, even when the haters, and we were haters about Bob Backlund, you need the Bob Backlund, man. You need that white bread. And Cody's not that white bread guy. He's not. In fact, I'll make a prediction that Cody will be a bad guy within the next year and a half.
You know what's fun? You know, it's going to sound strange. If Cody had the athleticism background and perhaps build of Steiner, Breaker, then yeah. Backlund, what I'm trying to say is, as weird as it may sound, because this is a connecting of the dots, Backlund was all the things you said, the All-American boy, but Backlund was a real wrestler, like with an athletic background. You knew, like, you took him seriously. You knew he could, at any moment, get that guy down and pin him. He's Bob Backlund. Cody Rhodes, you know, no discredit to Cody Rhodes and everything he's done in modern day wrestling is no Bob Backlund.
No, he's not.
He's not. So if there was legit,
and by the way, I guarantee there's a million people saying that's a ridiculous statement. But Jimmy, I stand by you on this. You are 100% right.
It's not, because Bob Backlund is the closest thing to Kurt Angle. Connect the dots on the true professional wrestler that was previously an amateur wrestler, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Bob Backlund was a two-time NCAA champion. Oh, what was it, Division II? You think I give two turds? You know, he was a tremendous champion, the strongest guy in the room. Flair said, please don't hurt me, okay? Kurt Angle, when Kurt Angle shows up with that Olympic gold, he's the best thing since Bob Backlund. How about them apples? Because that's the truth as far as amateur wrestlers. And sure, you could give me Briscoe, right? Wasn't Jack a state champion? Okay, you know, but Backlund had that legitimacy. That's the difference. And
answer this question, though. Let's get to the root of it. Is there a possibility that wrestling within the next 5 years becomes way off the charts? Just meaning off the charts, like no one gives a shit anymore. It's fake wrestling.
No, I think like anything, if it's going to decline, it'll decline slowly. You'll see it getting back to being more reasonable, like for people like you and me, where it's like, okay, now we're down to 2 apps. You don't have me yet, but you're starting to get me into thinking. A few people buckle, whatever, and they come back to normalcy because they're going to have to. They have to protect WrestleMania at all costs. Whatever they're doing behind the scenes, they can't lose sight of the fact that they've got to preserve what's made this company what it is. So they better get it down, but not forget their people. If they forget the reason why they're making this money in the first place, you, me, our kids, our grandkids, we all count.
How about the lack of house shows, dude? The disappearance of the house show.
It's terrible to me. But you know what? I bet you a wrestler will tell you it's wonderful. Isn't this what we started to dislike about our athletes as we've gotten older?
Sure.
Look, when we grew up, the guys were going out there and playing through shit.
Jimmy,
They
I don't mean to
have it
interrupt, but
anymore.
you just hit on something with me. That was the one thing I always loved about wrestling.
Yeah,
It was the common man sport.
it was.
Like you could always look. You and I
Especially
used to go to the independent show. Hey, let's go out together on a Saturday night. We'd go sit down and have some fun watching. We make fun of them, but like a dude in a sweater, and we had a good time. The common man sport, and it's no longer the common man sport. It's just like anything else.
Especially when you think about the roots of it all. When we were kids and we first fell in love with this, it was the common man sport down south. It was the common man sport. Think about Madison Square Garden. Who were the champions given for? The Italian crowd with Bruno, the common workers of New York City, and then the Spanish, the Latins for Pedro. Come on. We're an ethnic soup in New York, and we had champions that reflected that. So, yeah, I agree completely.
Well, I'll just say this. Our friend Evan Ginsberg could go visit the city all he wants now since he voted that clown, and enjoy yourself. All right, anyway. Great conversation.
Yeah. Shut up and wrestle.
What do I got in the bag for you today, buddy? Are you ready?
Shut up and wrestle.
Enjoyed it last time.
Am I ever ready?
All right, let's see what we got here.
Gonna let it happen. Again, Grill's not gonna let it happen. Boot to the midsection. It's power. It's power. Cover 1, 2, and 3.
Dude.
Who was that?
That was Gangrel against some guy.
That was Gangrel.
Could they move any slower? It's like enough already, dude. Shut up and don't wrestle, please. I'll play it again.
Play it again.
I'll play it again.
Gonna let it happen. Again, Grill's not gonna let it happen. Boot to the midsection. It's power. It's power. Cover 1, 2, and 3.
It was like that clothesline's like,
No,
good.
I was stuck on the boot to the stomach.
Oh, how bad is that, dude?
No, I like the finishing move. That looked good. He still does that well. That was good. When he planted him, that was good. But the boot was like, you know what? No, you're gonna make me be mean. I just watched SpongeBob with Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. And I don't know if anybody else knows who they are, but you know, they're the retired superheroes and the retired superhero folks home, and that wasn't a very good kick to the stomach.
It was really bad. And ESO was just saying that, the way wrestling's going, you and me could go into training at our age. Here's another one. Tell me what you think.
Shut up and wrestle.
Oh, come on.
Here you go. Are you ready?
This is not good.
Oh my God, he's climbing all the way up. He's on the tip of the cage. Don't do it. No. Oh my God, he's going up. No way. Get down from there. Big Jack. Oh my God, he's climbing the top of the cage. No way. No way. Don't do it, Big Jack. Thinking about it. He's going.
He jumped off the cage.
No way. Oh my God. Oh my God, he's climbing all the way.
He's got no business up there. Look at the size of him.
Thinking no way. Oh my God, he's gonna do it. He's on the top
This
of the
place
cage.
is about to blow.
Oh my God, he's going all the way up. There's no way. No way. He tries this. He's on the top of the cage. Do it. Oh, he's jumping.
I just thought that they.
Now, I would pay to see that.
Who is that?
I think it's AI, dude.
Is it?
It's pretty good AI, right?
I can't tell from my vantage point here. Oh my God!
It's not to be a dude. It looks real, so it's like
man, I'm a big fan of that. And like, why did we never see that when we paid live?
Could you imagine some fat guy like knocking the whole cage over? Oh my God! I forgot.
You got to admit, though, we did see the wife screaming at the wrestler with the broken leg standing over him, like, "I told you not to wrestle."
That's right. Jimmy, tell that story real quick. It's a great story
I've ever seen. There was two things going on. Was it during the same match, Mike? I think it was going on simultaneously. I'm being yelled at for rooting against the sweater vest. This guy I just didn't like this gimmick. He comes in wearing a sweater vest.
And I think the guy who's wrestling was Rage, right? Was his name
Right.
Rage?
I think so. And the girlfriend of the sweater vest starts yelling at me for rooting against them. She's like getting mad. I'm like, oh my God. First of all, I'm not allowed to root.
And by the way, everybody at home, sweater vest, the dude was like 80 pounds, right? With a sweater.
I swear, it was like he really is like stealing your library book at the Comac Public Library. It's like, where did this guy come from? Come back with that. And my chewing gum, you fiend. It was terrible. But simultaneously, these two nitwits botch a spot, and he breaks his leg falling out of the ring.
The guy Rage, right?
Yeah, he breaks his leg. His wife goes running over and starts screaming at him. I told you not to wrestle. Now you're fucking standing over him. I was just like, wow. I guess sweater vest wins. The girlfriend is happy. I'm like, it's fake, she almost kills me. I'm like,
but isn't like a typical wife? You break your fucking leg, and she's like, "We don't have insurance, and now you can't work because you want to be a wrestler." I think she was like berating him like that. Yeah. We were like embarrassed for the guy. It was like,
she was like, "Oh man, Walmart's gonna be thrilled." It's like, oh man, that was brutal, brutal. But Mike, let me ask you real quick before we get off of this bizarre flashback. What do you think the chick that was yelling at me? Because I'm not rooting for her boyfriend's sweater vest. What do you think she would have done if he had broken his leg? What job do you think he had? And would she have been screaming at him?
Dude, you know what? It's like, this is the way after that happened, I thought to myself, like, this guy is living his dream. He works out, right? Because he was a smaller guy, but he was big, right?
He's a big dude. He was in good shape.
Guy's working out. He's finally living his dream. He puts his face makeup on.
Yeah.
He's ready to go. He's wrestling in front of me, Jimmy, and maybe 3 other people, but that's okay, right? But he's living his dream, and his wife's like, you really got to get a job. And he's like, honey, I'm going to make it. And then she's like, but the kids, they have no food to eat. No, honey, I'm going to be a wrestler. Every wrestler goes through this, living in their car on $10. I can do this, honey. And
this guy's not young, by the way, Mike. The guy you're talking about.
And then he breaks his leg, and she's berating him as he's crying in pain, standing over him, yelling. Yeah. And me and Jimmy have our fucking heads covered, like, oh boy, this poor guy. What a fucking man.
It was rough that day, and they didn't tell us that it was going to be outside. And it was right on the water. You remember that? Yeah. And we're freezing our ass off.
It was early spring. It was early spring.
Yeah, but it was cold. I was like, what the hell? Oh, what a...
Jimmy and I have had many moments. We went to one together. It was at a firehouse, and the ceiling was probably about 10 feet high. So literally the wrestlers' heads were about to hit the ceiling. But here comes Drew McIntyre, freshly fired from the WWE. And I'm like,
drunk.
And drunk off his ass. Remember that, Jimmy? Holy shit.
Shit-faced.
And I'm thinking, look at this guy now, right? Look at this guy now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I remember when he walked in that night, you could tell right away who used to be with the big boys and everything else. Everything else you just watched. I mean, even in his drunken state, I listened to every fucking word.
I remember you're like, that's Drew McIntyre. I'm like, he sucks. Little did I know.
Feel that way.
No, I did. Yeah.
I remember, and we were in the first row of the 10 people you spoke of. Let's be fair, maybe 10 people in the whole goddamn place at that point, And there he is, fucking giving his promo. He looked directly at us several times, and I thought to myself, "What the fuck are you doing here? You should not be here."
I just remember, he got on the bottom rope, and his head was almost hitting the ceiling.
Yeah, he's a specimen. When he walked in, I was like, "Oh, he was a big specimen." Dude. He was definitely
good. And then I think one time I went with Jimmy, and then we'll move on. But there's one time I think some wrestler's wife was hitting on Jimmy.
That was outside the firehouse. Yeah,
Jimmy, that's fucking great. Anyway, we can tell stories forever. You'll catch it in the Life is Corn Dogs of Life, the Monte the Pharaoh book, which we'll be selling shortly as we haven't started writing it yet. All right, guys, upcoming guests for Monte and the Pharaoh next week. Doug Gilbert, USWA and ECW veteran, brother of Eddie Gilbert, the man who called out Jerry Lawler on live TV. What do you think of that, Jimmy?
I'm very psyched about that. I know we were supposed to have him on a couple weeks back or something, but I'm excited about that. There's a guy who walked his own path way before CM Punk ever did. I'm just saying.
Do you think he's more famous though for being Eddie Gilbert's brother?
Obviously, look, he's always going to be connected to his brother's name. Eddie is Eddie. You know what I'm saying? But that's that. When you look at Doug's career alone on its own, I found it to be very interesting. It's going to be a great interview. I'm pretty psyched.
It is. It's going to be a really good interview. How much do you think he's going to trash Missy Hyatt?
He's never struck me as somebody who holds back, which is what we talked about earlier. So I'm fairly confident that his opinions are going to remain the same, just like the song from Zeppelin remains the same. You know,
Understood.
We'll see.
I get it.
We'll see.
And then we've got Johnny the Bull, former WCW and WWE star, half of the Natural Born Thrillers, and the guy who legit broke his tailbone on a leg drop.
This
Johnny
guy
the Bull in a rare interview.
This guy was in good shape back in the day, wasn't he?
Dude, that guy, like, I'm surprised that guy didn't. You know what, dude? I think he went to TNA and, like, changed his gimmick to, like, some, like, fucking with fucking Wolfie D.
Who's the guy in the NXT who I feel is kind of like stealing his gimmick now, somewhat, doing more with it because they're letting him do it?
Oh, that's Don Tony, I think.
The Tony Soprano kind of thing going on there.
Yeah.
But is he going to be at the table with us, Johnny?
He'll be at the table at the big
Very
event.
cool.
Again, come see Monte The Pharaoh if you're in New York at the big event, all right? That's another
I'm
thing.
pretty psyched. I'm pretty psyched about that. I feel like there's a lot of gold in them there hills, you know what I mean? On a interview level.
And then followed by ECW legend Jerry Lynn, and one of the most technical, gifted wrestlers ever. His matches with RVD still set the standard.
Jerry Lynn, man. I'm at a loss for words with Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn's like everything that's right about a great wrestler. He's just in-ring performance speaking. My God. His matches with RVD will always be one of my favorites. He was in my top 10. I remember you raised your eyebrow way back when we did a top 10 greatest matches, Mike.
You remember that? Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? But I got to tell you, dude, I do like when we get these ECW stars in because I know what a big fucking fan you were, the ECW guys.
And what have we found over the years, too? Who are most of the coolest guys? ECW guys, right?
You're right.
Well,
They are the coolest guys.
They were the realest guys in the room. Sorry, Enzo.
And then after that, the return for the third time on the show, Big Ron Shaw.
Love Big Ron Shaw. I think we're going to have to go back and watch some Ron Shaw matches just to celebrate this momentous occasion.
He's very famous for the upset win over the great David Sammartino. Did I just say great David Sammartino? I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know what you were thinking there.
Ron Shaw, I always felt if he would have kept that executioner gimmick, he would have gone much further in his career.
Could have. He was certainly big enough. He was a big
enough.
Well,
I think that was Vince's senior's way of making him famous. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right. Before we go to head, I just wanted to cover a little stuff on. Now that time has passed and you don't really see him you don't really watch him anymore, but I know you were a big fan in the past. And again, Monte The Pharaoh called the Howard Stern of pro wrestling. Right. What are your thoughts about Howard now compared to then? And what are your thoughts about him now? Forget about that. I know what you felt about him then.
No, I think I would prefer to answer the question as a whole. I will never be ruined about my good memories of Howard when he was what he was. Let me get that out of the way. Will I go back and listen to them now? No. I kind of jumped off with Howard when he started to go on television. You probably didn't. I think a lot of people stayed when he went into the TV aspect of things.
I fucking loved it, but go ahead.
I didn't love it. But he wanted to be king of all media, so I guess he did. He conquered it all, but I wasn't interested in that part. I liked listening to him and drawing my own pictures in my head and stuff. I didn't need to look at him. I didn't need to look at Robin. That's for shit sure. Sorry. But I fell off. I find it ironic that he is what he is today when considering all the things he used to do are so provocative and she was the ultimate shit stirrer that now he's the apologetic ball sucker. No, that's rough. That's rough to digest. So has he killed my memories of him? No, that's not That's to me. That's not fair.
Well, let me ask you something. I know you said you
know.
don't go back and listen.
I don't.
Okay, I was a huge fan for a long time. I even bought his book, which I thought was great.
Yeah,
But what
it was
I
great.
found funny in
It
my
was
early to late 20s,
great.
I find disgusting now. Is that weird?
I don't find what I found funny then disgusting now. So, do I think it's weird? No, it's how you have digested things. What I find disgusting
Well, is it
is
hypocritical? Is it hypocritical? Maybe is the better question.
why you want me to go in that direction with you?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Honestly, I don't. I think it's your choice. What am I supposed to judge you on it? See, now we're getting to being a judge, and
Well,
I'm not going to do it.
my point is, just
doing
like
it.
him, you brought it up earlier. The guy
Yeah.
did whatever he wanted, treated
He
people
did.
the way he wanted, and
He
now
did.
he's an apologetic ass kisser,
So-
full of
so
shit,
I
right? So
think
that makes me the same way, right?
No, not necessarily. You're not. No, because at the core of what your moral values are, you're on a certain side. Look, we know the nation is drawn in half today. Do I have to really paint this in parables? You know, I mean, it's his moral values that are fucking disgusting. That's the problem. I don't give a shit if he was outrageous back in the day. What I find disgusting is how he's changed about what he was back in the day. You don't apologize for what you were. What you were made you great. You know, love or hate the president, he doesn't backtrack and be like, "Oh, you're right, I'm a complete asshole," and yeah, blah blah blah. No, 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 no. What are you doing? And then, but you realize what he's doing when you see where his morals lie. So just because some things you find disgusting when you were a younger man doesn't make you Howard Stern. You have a different set of morals. You understand? This is a complex question you're asking me. I'm trying to answer it.
No, and you know what? I appreciate that, but let me hit you with some of this. Then let's talk about this, right?
Go ahead.
He bullied Artie Lang
Yes.
while the guy was falling apart, right?
Yes.
And
Yes,
Artie
he did.
really kind of brought the show back, right?
Apparently, I lost him after Jackie, and then he goes to television, and I'm like, no. But
Well,
go
so
on.
Artie, you know, he loses Jackie.
Artie
We
was
had
very
Jackie
important.
on. You could tell Jackie was not a fan of his, right?
Right.
He
Artie-
destroyed Scott the engineer's reputation and cut him
Right.
loose when his wife was dying.
Yep, I remember. I do remember all of that stuff. Yes, I do.
He mocked Beetlejuice, Wendy, Gary the Conqueror, all for ratings.
I'm waiting for you to get to the worst one, but yes, I remember.
This
all of
is the
these.
one. This is the one. So I said to everybody out there, I was a huge fan. This is the one
that did
when
it.
Howard lost me.
Okay.
Now
I'm
I
already
was
gone.
not a huge, which I understand. I've seen all, but I
But
was.
I do remember what you're about to say, though. Please.
I wasn't a huge Different Strokes fan, but I grew up with
was.
Different Strokes, right?
I
I watched
loved
it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I was like you. I liked
loved
it.
it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It doesn't have the retention value of The Odd Couple or MASH or All in the Family, but yes, I
Well,
did love Different
When
Strokes.
he set up Dana Plato on that show, has her come in and has all his fans and whack packers destroy her on that show, that she fucking literally ODs the next day and dies. And no remorse from him, no blame from him. And listen, he killed the DJ hung himself over him. He lost me that day. And at this point, I almost look at him like the devil, dude. And especially the way he's turned and the way his moral values have changed as far as politics go. I literally hate the guy now.
Well, he's the ultimate sellout. The end. He's the ultimate sellout.
And that goes to the beginning of the show when we were talking about Allison Kay.
Yeah.
Who had an agenda. We also talked about, I'm kind of all over the place, but we talked about Bubba the Love Sponge, right? And he has to live with it. Howard Stern doesn't have regrets of what he's done to these people.
Some people don't. I did say that to you earlier. Some people don't. I can't answer whether he does or doesn't, but I would lean towards he obviously doesn't. When you're that far into your own delusional dream and society has made you rich through your own delusional dream, which is the reality of what's happened here over the decades with Howard, he's so far deep into his own delusional dream, bro, It's way beyond drinking that first pitcher of Kool-Aid. This guy's been ordering truckloads of it for decades, and his following pays for it. He's a king. You want to talk about no King's Day? I'll show you kings. You might be surprised who the kings are.
Right. Right.
My God, people, be careful.
Well said, man. Well
Careful.
said. And what got me going on this is on Peacock, they have the Gary Coleman documentary, which if you do have Peacock, I recommend watching it. And it kind of draws up the whole different strokes memories. I mean, Gary Coleman, another guy who was taken advantage of. And it's sometimes people could be really bad, Jimmy, really bad.
They can be. I saw an old clip, it came up in my feed. I wasn't asking for it, but it was an old Howard Stern clip where Gene Simmons was on the verge of slapping Howard in the face because Eric Carr had just died, and Howard Stern's being very insensitive. He's just being what Howard Stern always was. That today Howard Stern would never do something like that.
Never.
And you can see, like, Simmons is actually entertaining the thought of slapping him. I'm like, oh man.
Listen, if you're political, the one great thing that we found out is Howard no longer has the power that he thought he had, and he thought he had the power like he had before, and he could actually change the presidential election, and it railroaded him.
A man named Joe Rogan stomped a mud hole in basically anybody who thinks otherwise. So
people get old. All right, guys, we're going to bring back a favorite. Unfortunately, Jimmy, like I said, I didn't get to set up the show fast enough. So we're going to do this without the cue cards, but I'm going to ask you, we're doing a very strange head-to-head this week.
Okay.
It's going to be friend of the show, rock and roller, Marty Jannetty.
Wow.
Against all-time favorite, Sergeant Slaughter.
First of all, before we go deeper, how did you come up with this particular matchup? I got to know.
So I was thinking about Slaughter, really, to tell the truth. And I was thinking about where does Slaughter rank? And again, guys, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about wrestling, but for the show, I spend time. And I said, where does Slaughter rank in the all-time greats? And again, it doesn't matter where it does. Everybody has their own list. You can't change. And you know what? You can't tell people what they like and don't like. Sergeant Slaughter to me at some points was this incredible star, and then some points was fucking annoying to me, right? It's a weird thing with me. But anyway, I digress. I said, we're going to do a head-to-head, and I want to do one with Slaughter because Slaughter to me is an iconic figure. I would say at bare minimum, he's in the top 60 professional wrestlers of all time, and that's no knock on him at all. 60 is pretty good. And I might even be giving him a break because you might be able to name 60 better wrestlers than him. But let's just call him top 60. And I said, this guy has wrestled everybody from Don Canoodle to fucking Hulk Hogan to the Ultimate Warrior to the Iron Sheik and on and on and on. I think you'd be hard-pressed not to find a wrestler, Sergeant Slaughter, has wrestled once or twice throughout his career. So I said, let me pick another star who you could almost give that same top 60 to. Maybe. I don't know. This is what head-to-head's about. So I said, fuck, Marty Jannetty. And that's where we're at. Did I make sense? I don't know, but that's how it came about.
Okay, and let me hammer home real fast that there would not be a show if it wasn't for the fact that at a junior high bus stop in 1981, Mike came over and started asking me about wrestling, and the first wrestler that Mike Monty fell in love with was Sergeant Slaughter. Mm-hmm. We would not have this show. I'm convinced that, well, first of all, we wouldn't have the show if we don't have that conversation to start with. But without Sergeant Slaughter, you needed a spark. Just like I discovered a spark when I first started watching. I gravitated towards somebody. You got to, and you gravitated towards Slaughter. So I'm still amazed. Why have we never had Sergeant Slaughter on? Has it just been timing, or?
So Sergeant Slaughter, this is a good question. Sergeant Slaughter still connected to the WWE in a way, and
okay.
Him and Jimmy Hart both are very weary of going on podcasts.
Okay. All right. Well, at least I have an idea of what's going on. At least Jimmy did a promo with us way back. You remember that, right?
Jimmy's a good guy.
Yeah,
But
we've
the
seen him a
reason
few
they
times.
don't go on is they don't want to
Yeah.
they don't want to get look, we started the show early talking about Allison Kay not liking our titles on the show. She thought it was
Right.
clickbait. Okay. So
We're
Sergeant
the
Slaughter
Howard Stern
and
of
Jimmy,
wrestling, Mike.
I got you,
guess
but
that's what
Sergeant Slaughter and
I
Jimmy
guess that's what you're
Hart don't
saying.
want to be put in that predicament. Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Do I want one day to have Sergeant Slaughter on? Fuck yeah, bro.
Oh my God, yeah.
That interview would be purely wrestling. There wouldn't even be any political
This is
conversation or anything.
This is a very, very interesting fucking matchup. This is very.
I will also say this: I do enjoy. Listen, one thing about this show is wrestlers get to talk about things that they don't get to talk about on podcasts. Because to us, Jimmy, like I said, we've said this before. We decided a long time ago we wanted to hear what these guys think.
Yeah,
everybody could find that. Yeah, we want to know the people. We want to know where they're coming from with, and it's tied. It all ties into wrestling, but they also ties into their thoughts. But anyway,
and we've also asked some pretty key wrestling questions. I mean, after the Tony Atlas eyewitness account of Bruiser Brody is one of our most. It's not like we don't. Of course we do, but we want to know at the end of the day not just what you did as a wrestler, but more importantly, who are you as a person?
And by the way, Tony returns back to our second annual Christmas Monte The Pharaoh special on the 21st or the 20th, I think. All right. So anyway, Jimmy, for the best of your ability, I'm sorry I don't have the cue cards. Can you tell people the rules of head-to-head to the best of your ability? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, you're not putting me on the spot.
By the way, before you do that, I did want to say one thing. Guys out there watching, one of the biggest misses I thought the WWE had was when, what do you call it? Lacey? When she was doing the Cobra Clutch Challenge. Yeah, they could have really went far with that, Jimmy. They fucking blew that, bro. They blew that so bad.
She had one of the strangest careers ever when you think about it. Her first year, she was a trajectory to be a star, and then just poof. That was a strange one.
You're 100% right.
All right, let's get to the category, shall we? Category number one is Mike skills without the place cards. How you do on the magic mic there, or am I magically disappearing to the John? We got Matt skills, like Jerry Lynn's coming on. Need I say more? Can you get it done in the ring? Category 3, back of the baseball card. Yep, it matters. It still matters at the end of the day. Oh, but it's scripted. I want to know what you did and what you didn't do. Thank you. It factor. Well, it's better than the shit factor. I don't make me turn to Me Television tonight to watch Patty Duke reruns. What are you doing? I mean, like Patty Duke? What the? I didn't even. That's not even my grandparents' show. What the fuck?
People who haven't seen head to head, Jimmy, like what would be a wrestler with the it factor?
Hogan, Austin, Taker, not Jack Swagger. You with me?
Understood.
All right, there we go. That's it factor. It's better than shit factor. And then, of course, category 5, probably in many ways, it could be the most important thing of all, your influence on the industry. Whoa. There you go.
People, if you go to Monte The Pharaoh channel, there is a Bruno Sammartino against Jerry Lawler.
Yes.
And shockingly at the words, but the fact is Jerry Lawler beat Sammartino and almost handily, Jimmy. And almost handily did it.
Was it 3 out of the 5?
3 out of the 5. To me, that's handily, right?
He got handily to me is 4-1. 3 out of 5 means you took it to the limit, but you won. You know what I mean? It's like a 5 games in baseball.
Fair enough.
So, but hey, it was a good matchup. But we were surprised that Jerry Lawler won, but he did win. He did. And if we did it again, he'd probably win again, one way or the other. Those cases are closed. Those careers are done. Just like these two. So let's see what we got.
All right. We're going to talk Mike skills, Jimmy.
Mike skills?
Sergeant Slaughter or
Mike
Marty Jannetty? Mike skills.
Well, to me, it's pretty obvious. I'd much rather listen to Sergeant Slaughter on the microphone. For sure. I mean, for sure. Slaughter was what a great voice, too. what was that gargle? He like gargled with nails when he talked.
Let me ask you though: was Slaughter a guy that can make you come to the arena?
The character alone could. It didn't hurt that he was a good talker. How's that?
Fair enough.
The character alone could. Look, Sergeant Slaughter got me to the Comac Arena two or three times. He fought Backlund in the main event. I think he fought Andre one night in the main event at the Comac Arena. I was there to see Slaughter. I was there to see Andre too, obviously, but Slaughter was definitely a wonderful opponent. Come on. That's a good match back in those days.
I'm going to agree with you. Sergeant Slaughter just isn't just better than Marty Jannetty. He pisses all over Marty Jannetty.
On Mike?
In fact, I would say that I'm a big fan of the mic skill.
I thought
and that was some of Marty Jannetty's downfall. He was not a good stick man. He just wasn't.
Have it that way. No, it didn't have it that way. But oddly enough, Marty's a great talker.
Now, mind you, where the WWE might have missed out on this if they would have had the drunken, drugged out Marty Jannetty as the character, it would have been funny.
If they had turned him loose a little bit, but kept it good for public television.
Well, what if they kept it like he was like always drugged out of his mind? I know they probably couldn't play it, but it would have been great.
If they could have played it, in other words, during the Attitude Era, you might have been able to do it.
Yeah. And he was still wrestling back then. Who knows? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we got Sergeant Slaughter winning on the mic skills. What's up next?
We got match skills, and this is like the opposite. Although surprisingly enough, Slaughter had a few moves, not many, but he had a few. But you're not going to compare him to Marty Jannetty in the ring. Marty Jannetty was part of a whole thing that we might have to get to in these later categories to talk about. But Marty is what? Come on, no way. Marty has got this one hands down the way Slaughter had the other category hands down. This is Marty's.
Well, I'll say Bob Cook's known for his working punch. Marty Jannetty had a hell of a working punch, man, for sure. Right?
You're killing me. Is Mitch out there? Is that why you're saying this? What's going on?
No, I don't know if he is, but on a serious note, Marty could throw a good punch.
Yeah. Well, we all know that he could throw a good punch, Mike.
Yeah. What are you saying, Jimmy?
I'm saying if anybody knows, it's you. And you know what? I remember the whole thing, and most importantly, when it was going down.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah. Whoa.
All right, so we got Marty Jannetty. We're up tied 1-1. I agree with you 100%, sir. You are right on the money.
Yep.
Next up.
Back to the baseball card. Slaughter. Hey, you can't take it away. One way or the other, the guy was world champion, and he held some important, other titles around the country, around the globe, and whatever. Look,
listen,
at the end of the day,
world champion, America's champion, AWA, world tag team champion in the NWA. It's not even close. This is a blowout, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's Slaughter. He's got him. He's definitely got him the same way he had him in Mike's skills. So the big Sarge is up
2-1.
2-1. Sarge had some. Actually, no. Sarge is up 2-1. Sarge had some decent moves, though. Do you remember the few that he did do? Didn't Slaughter actually throw a fucking drop kick?
He did. He did.
He did the fireman's carry. He did the hook, and he did some stuff.
Hey, one thing we don't talk about too, Jimmy, is like selling is part of the art too. We never talk about how well people sold.
Oh, Slaughter sold the alley fight.
Oh, come on.
I thought the poor man had been murdered and we'd never see him again. I was like, oh my God, he killed him wearing those jeans and that T-shirt was
agreed.
And we didn't even know that. Pat didn't even. Oh my God.
We talk about old wrestling, Jimmy, and how bad it could be if you really turn it on. Like I laugh when older guys like ourselves say, "Oh man, I went and watched Tommy Rich against Buzz Sawyer in the last fight in Atlanta. That fucking match sucked. It did. It sucked. And, back then it was like you wanted to see it, but it's like when you watch it, you're like, this fucking sucked. But I will tell you this, the alley fight still holds up.
Oh.
Slaughter could put himself into a post like no other, man.
Slaughter also managed during that time period where it culminated with that fight where he just spewed so much hatred out of the crowd. He was so hated.
Dude, are we trying to say that maybe Slaughter gets the mat skills over Marty?
No, he doesn't. No, we're not trying to say that because that goes into whether Mat skills are not about. Then we would have to come up with another category on salesmanship.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, because salesmanship is a whole nother story. For example, one of the greatest guys that ever took a punch was superstar Billy Graham.
Can't argue that, man.
My God, that
Graham
guy
could
sold
sell like crazy,
sold
man.
a punch like, and then we would have to give the worst punch thrown of all time to John Moxley.
Terrible. It's so funny.
It's
so
amazing
bad.
to me that it's just amazing how bad they are. But you know what? I'm going to be fair. When Stone Cold did throw a good punch, looked fantastic. When Stone Cold would jump on top and do those rabbit hits, that looked ridiculous.
He would
But
kind
it
of
didn't
flap
matter.
the hand open, but yeah.
It was like what? Wait, whoa.
Do you know what's so funny? In the Attitude Era, I never sat back and even noticed botches at all. Now I spot botches all the time.
I've always noticed botches.
But like, it didn't bother me. But now it's like, oh, that's awful. Like sometimes these women are. I love women's wrestling, but they're so far off on their shots. It's like, oof, this is bad.
I have a very hard time still. I only will watch the women on the true payoff matches because then I hope that I'm getting what I expect.
Right.
Because a lot of the mid card fluff and whatever the ones that bring it up are just so god awful.
But then sometimes you get gold like Maxine against Becky Lynch 2 times in a row. By the way.
And you know what I'll say to that? If Maxine goes right back when she's not working with Becky, if she goes right back to whatever she was in the ring before that.
Yeah.
I'll say to her what Gene Simmons said to Peter Criss. Congratulations. You wrote Beth. Great job. What have you done with your other 99 at bats?
That's good points. Good points.
Gene could say that to him. Gene and Paul wrote him a kabillion hits, so he could say that.
All right, so we got 2-1. What's the next category, my friend?
With Slaughter in the lead, correct? All right, so we go on to It Factor. I don't even think this is a contest.
This is a blowout. Not surprisingly, but it's a blowout.
It's Sergeant Slaughter. The It Factor is look at that. How are you not paying attention to that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the jawbone is almost as imposing.
Isn't it almost funny that he used to have a different gimmick before this? Like, I can't imagine that guy being anything but Sergeant Slaughter.
Right.
With that chin and everything else. You know what I mean?
You might as well say, what the fuck do you mean? Hulk Hogan was a bass player in a band?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, what are you talking about? Anything that's not that man being Sergeant Slaughter just doesn't fit at all. He's such a natural. Look at that jawbone. It's almost as imposing as that AI Pharaoh jawbone that your fucking AI gives me.
Hey, listen, don't get mad at AI. All right, last category, 3-1 right now. Slaughter, it's over, but let's see if we could at least have a Toronto Blue Jay comeback.
Well, here's where it gets interesting.
Oof, I want to hear this one, man.
Influence on the industry? No, because I'm going to ask you to go first, and then I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking about this, and see if there's any sanity in what
let's see how well I know my partner. Let me see how well I know my partner.
Influence on the industry.
All of a sudden, on the cover of it all, it says Sergeant Slaughter, right? WrestleMania, the Cobra Clutch Challenge, the Alley Fight, G.I. Joe. The list is long.
Yeah.
But then now I'm thinking my partner's got a rabbit in the hat. So now I'm saying, okay, so Marty Jannetty, what's the influence on the industry? Well, after Marty's career is over, maybe his influence on the industry has even grown, considering all the podcasts he's done, all the stories that have been written about him with all the issues. He also accidentally crippled a guy in the ring, on and on and on. I'm still going to go with Sergeant Slaughter, Jimmy, but if I'm thinking that's where you're going, I see where you think it's close. I could be totally off, but go ahead, Jimmy.
Okay. Here's the only thing I'm going to ask you before I even make an answer definitively.
Sure.
Sergeant Slaughter's type of character is no more. They don't do it anymore.
Right.
They don't. There's no more of these ethnic backgrounds and USA to the rescue and all this other stuff.
Sure.
It's gone. It's gone. They don't do it anymore. Cobra Clutch challenges in general. The last time you'd have to go back almost 20 years to our fine guest with the Master Lock.
We'd have to go
General-
to Monte The Pharaoh to see the last challenge
Yeah,
when Jimmy
in
attempted
general-
to get out of the master lock.
In general, they're gone. Okay, so as far as action figures go, GI Joe really fallen to the wayside, and action figures were made huge through Hogan and the rest of them. So I don't give that to Slaughter. It's gone. Okay. Now here's the interesting weird.
So
thing.
you're trying to say, as much as we think that Slaughter influenced the industry, everything he's done is no longer. So go ahead.
It's no longer because of the type of character he was and the things that he excelled at. They don't do anymore.
Right.
I've just pointed these things out. Right. You agree with what I've said so far, right?
You know what?
Okay.
I love where you're going with this because
Okay.
it's very intelligent.
Here's where things get really interesting. If it wasn't for teams like obviously the Rock and Roll Express and the Rockers, you don't get the Hardy Boys. You don't get all the aerial things that teams like the Rockers became known for. That style of wrestling is the style of wrestling we see today in the ring. So Marty Jannetty is one of the prototypes and pioneers of the aerial style that you and I were never wanting to see first and foremost. We grew up on power, but that doesn't matter here. What matters here is that the Rockers and Marty's style of wrestling opened the door for people like the Hardy Boys and the Young Bucks. You wouldn't have the Young Bucks without the Rockers and the Rock and Roll Express and guys like that during that time period. So the weird thing, you're actually adding to my potential decision to choose Marty by mentioning that in post-career, Marty has blown Slaughter out of the water. Whether his wackiness is irrelevant or not, it's been irrelevant. People have talked about Marty big time post-career in comparison to Sarge. And then there's this footprint in the ring that his style of wrestling has left that is still so prominent today. So here's the weird answer, I guess. True influence on the industry that we see today? Marty Jannetty.
Jimmy, you have swung me. I'm going with Marty Jannetty. I can't argue that point. You're 100% right.
Bizarre.
You are 100% right. It's Marty Jannetty, and it's Marty Jannetty by a blowout, the way you just explained that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know what, too? You can't take away the E in entertainment either. The Rockers were fucking entertaining.
Well, you know what? Listen, you explained it. The industry is leaned way heavy towards Marty Jannetty than it would have Sergeant Slaughter.
Absolutely.
And, it goes back to, Lacey. It didn't work, even though I wanted it to work. Right. History shows it didn't work. Yeah. So you're right, dude.
And that style that Marty was perfecting, he was perfecting it with Shawn. Shawn becomes before AJ Styles. Don't you see how this all goes? It's like, this whole aerial style is cemented by Shawn Michaels as far as the individual guy. Then there's AJ. Then there's the Kenny Omegas, whether you love them or hate them. These are the guys. And you have to go back to the Rockers. So Marty's thumbprints are all over this shit.
100% right. Well,
but Sarge still wins.
But Sergeant Slaughter is still champion.
He is.
Well done, Sarge.
It makes
iconic
sense too.
Sergeant Slaughter.
Yep.
But
it makes sense.
A lot after you said that, I'd almost think Marty winning that last category. If we weighted the categories, Marty could win. If you weighted it. Because overall influence in the industry is the most important part, right?
It is. Said that when I was reading them out in the beginning, the categories, and it stands true. It's the most important one. That's why Hogan is Hogan. I was watching a documentary on Austin last night, and do you realize, I know we all realize, but to hear it again, hammered home that really, we only really had Stone Cold for 98 and 99. In 2000, he's hurt. In 2001, WrestleMania comes around and he turns. So we only really had the glass crashing, psychotic, oh my God, it's Stone Cold for like 2 years. It's amazing to me. The influence that Hogan did, what was it, 9 straight WrestleManias?
Well, I thought I heard a podcast to say, Hogan was hot for like 3 or 4 years. No, dude, Hogan was.
Oh, no, he wasn't.
Hogan Hogan
No,
was
he
what was he in the
wasn't.
WWE a year before the first WrestleMania? So now you're talking 2 years,
Hogan,
and he main evented all the way to WrestleMania 7.
Hogan was the number one draw from the moment they put the strap in this business. The moment they put the strap on him, the first time, all the way past the NWO turn. You can say whatever you want. He's the number one draw. And
Right.
the NWO thing occurs in '96. So we've already jumped 13 full years where he is the number one draw in professional wrestling. Period. Right? And then
Right.
it takes what, another year or two before they self-implode. So you're looking at about 15 years where you can confidently say he's the biggest money man. Ric Flair said it 1,000 times. Hulk Hogan is the greatest wrestler that ever lived because he's the one who did that, who did
It
what
made
he
the most
did.
money. Yeah, sure.
Flair's not, he said the most over is obviously Austin, but he said the Hogan's got the fucking track records.
Well, I don't. Are you going to tell me that you think
15
Austin
years.
was more over than Hogan in Hogan's heyday?
And no, I'm not going to say that, but what I will say is this. I will say this. The loudest pop, and it's well known anyway, but it's true. The loudest pop I ever heard was January 4th of 1999 when Austin's glass crashed and he came out to help Cactus Jack win the world, Mankind win the world championship for the first time. When that glass crashes, that crowd, I've
Listen,
never heard
still to this
anything
day,
like
when that glass crashes, you get
it's always
goosebumps.
huge,
You
but
just get
that
goosebumps.
night, go back and look at that night, and the raw. You can barely hear his theme as he comes down. You could barely hear it. It's
Well,
like, oh
let's
my
be.
God.
This is where we should always talk about the players, though.
It's still not Hogan.
You had Mick Foley hot off of being thrown off the top of a cage.
It was Austin though coming out, man.
No, but I understand that. But it's
Yeah.
also you had The Rock, who was at the point everybody just fucking hated that guy. Right?
It was a perfect storm. The circumstances. That's what you're getting at, right? The
And yeah,
circumstances
and it was
Perfect
just
storm.
like it was fucking unbelievable, dude.
Perfect storm. You know what?
Good.
Another huge pop people forget about when Warrior made the Mad Rush at Honky Tonk.
Oh my God. Oh my God, that was so fucking great,
When the
dude.
music hit, I'll fight
That
anybody.
was so great. My God.
Oh my God, man! What a reaction!
And you know what? Give Honky Tonk Man tons of credit. He took
Yep.
those fucking clotheslines like a champ. It was fucking great, dude.
It
He
looked
couldn't
like he
even
had
get his
murdered him.
jumpsuit off. He's trying to get it. That's what, as sometimes
little
as bad
things.
as wrestling was back then,
Yeah.
the stuff that they did in between that is the incredible stuff.
Does Vince McMahon get any credit for taking on the surface what looks to be like the most ridiculous gimmick you've ever heard of? You're going to give a guy who doesn't even have an overly wrestling impressive physique, let's be real, and we're going to make him look like Elvis, and he's going to swivel his hips, and he's going to come out with a guy with a megaphone, but he believed in this character and leave the belt on him for over a year. That reign was...
And there's not one person watching this show right now that can't sing the Honky Tonk Man's theme song.
Any credit for Vince McMahon coming up with like, okay, let's do that. Let's push that to the fucking moon. Any credit for that?
I think people when it's all said and done, people realize Vince McMahon, if he was a baseball player, would be the Babe Ruth. The guy's hitting 900. He's had some fucking farts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know what? Who the fuck is perfect?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that, with all due respect, Mike Mantor, who was a good friend, there's no way that Vince thought that was going to get over. I just can't imagine Vince going. I think Vince sometimes just did shit just to do it.
I'm going to
put a bull fucking head on that guy. Let's make him look like a dick.
I'm going to be very cynical about it, considering what Mike had told us about Scott Hall and everything. I'm pretty damn sure that they did it to him as a joke.
Yeah, you might be right.
To me, it's like, man, that's so not cool, but that's what they did, Not good. And by the way, let me throw this in, because we're talking about, missing Vince McMahon and how someday people will realize this is a little out of left field, so stay with me. I can't stand when people say that, these athletes are so superior, like Babe Ruth could never play today. Let's do the reverse. Let me ask you a question. How do you think that these made of gelatin fucking athletes today, how do you think any one of these baseball players would do if you drop them into the 1920s traveling schedule with the heavy wool uniforms and the heavy bats and the dead balls, and the guys around you are willing to go to war, win a medal, and come back and win the MVP? You're surrounded by real men. How do you think that would work for them?
Jimmy, I got to give you a lot of credit tonight. Your counterpoints, or you know what? I'm one of those guys that say that Babe Ruth wouldn't be so great in today's era, but when you put it like that, I don't think Barry Bonds, Aaron Judge, the list, they go into the major leagues back then. I agree with you. Do you think that, Kurt Schilling could have pitched 15 innings straight? Right? You're right. You're right. I can't argue that.
The way they were. Now, I will say that I think Kurt Schilling was psychotic enough and tough enough to probably find a way to exist back in those days, oddly enough.
Because he had a bloody sock? Fuck that guy.
I got to be honest. Way before the bloody sock, I was screaming for the Yankees to get this guy when he was on the Phillies. I loved his makeup. I thought he was a psycho, and I thought that he never took no for an answer. And I loved his competitiveness. So it's not 2020 coming from me. Trust me. I think he would have been okay in the caveman days, is what I'm getting at. I think a lot of players would have been like crying for their mommy. Jose Canseco would have been like, I can't do this.
You know what? When you put it like that, if you put them in different eras, you know what I mean?
I can't do this. Ted Williams was a fighter pilot. He went off and won medals and came back. It was still great. They don't.
I mean, do you think Tom Brady could have played back in the 70s NFL?
No, you know what's funny too? I just saw an old interview with Jack.
Wait,
Lambert.
let me. I don't mean to interrupt you here. So again, we're Jet fans, and Jimmy and I many times have said, when you really look at Joe Willie Namath's stats, he really was not a very good quarterback.
He was for that period.
But I will say this: when you watch that documentary on Joe Willie Namath, the late hits.
Oh God!
The fucking knee shots,
murdered him.
The guy was getting murdered. So now,
Murdered
respectfully, as he got more popular in the league got smart and said, "Don't the defensive players on the other team were told, don't fucking fuck with this guy. We need to keep him on the fucking field."
They still did. I've seen.
But there were points, Jimmy, that I actually I'm trying to think who's the guy in the Colts, the big guy.
There was several big guys on the Colts.
You're
probably talking about Art Donovan or somebody like that.
No. He was on the Brady Bunch too. God damn it, I can't fucking remember.
Oh, what? Bubba Smith?
Bubba Smith.
Go ahead.
Bubba Smith said that if someone went rogue on their team and just tackled Joe Willie later on in his career, the shit would hit the fan. Well,
I agree with that because, like you said, Joe became monetarily the poster boy for the NFL-AFL merger. Joe was the biggest star during his time. So I agree with that. But keep in mind that Bubba Smith was part of the Oakland Raiders that Joe Namath hated the most. Right. And that was the team that crippled him. They crippled him. They crippled it from 1965 to 1969 over at Shea Stadium and down in Oakland. Oof. Yeah. They were the nastiest going. They were. To get back to your question, how would Tom Brady do back in even the 70s? I saw Jack Lambert interview from back in the day. He was part of the Steel Curtain Hall of Famer and a beast. So they asked him, and this is 1977, I think. They said, well, these quarterbacks are trying to petition to the NFL to have more calls go their way and less hits. What do you think about that? You know what Jack Lambert said? He goes, I think the quarterbacks need to all get some dresses. That's what he said.
But then again, just like with the
Joe Namath today
NBA.
would have Aaron Rodgers numbers.
You might be right. So again,
Joe Namath wouldn't be getting touched. Joe Namath had a great arm. He had the quickest release, and you can. There's quotes from Don Shula, everybody. Joe Namath, the thing that made him greater than everybody was his release. He had the fastest release. He could process, and bang, it was gone. It was gone. And he had arm strength, and he had precision. And he threw a lot in the later days because he always threw, and the teams weren't as good, and he was crippled at that point.
It's a great point.
But from 1965 to 69, there wasn't a quarterback in the world that was better than that guy.
I agree. All right, Jimmy, send us out. I want to thank everybody for joining us Thursday night. Next week, me and Jimmy will be at the big event. We're gonna have quite a few interviews, so it's gonna be a loaded show. Got some good stuff going on, so it's gonna be great. Jimmy, do you want to send us out, pal? I want to thank everybody for joining us.
All right, everybody. You've been watching Monty and the Pharaoh. Until next week, maggot. Later.
Couple things I want to cover, Jimmy.
Yeah.
500 level has now improved on the M&P code. Now go to MP30 for 30% off. Jimmy, I got to tell you something, right? I was at the beach, again, 500 level. If you guys haven't looked at the shirts, right, go to the website. It's incredible. And I got to be honest, right? So it was a little chilly today. I brought the dogs to the beach. I was off work for the Jewish holidays,
today.
right?
It was
cold,
yeah.
but I have from 500 level, I have a Roman Reigns sweatshirt. Now, usually sweatshirts are not always the nicest fabric, unless I'm into really nice fabric because I just don't like things up against my skin. So usually I'll get thinner type of shirts, but this is a heavy sweatshirt. The fabric, unbelievable. And you're going to get a deal at 30% off, Jimmy. I mean, my God, it's a no-brainer, guys. I am telling you, once you get one shirt from them, you'll get 50. I guarantee it. And they've got all the sports. Yeah, dude, tell me what you think of it, Jimmy.
They're so comfortable. I got to get a long sleeve now. I'm telling you, I got it. Because it was chilly today, especially for a guy who's been in Panama City Beach the last 2 years. It was chilly today, and I love the material. It's so silky. Is that the right word for it? I don't know.
No, absolutely, dude.
It's so comfortable. So yeah, I got to get myself some leveled long sleeves. That's for sure. 30%.
And again, it doesn't. They got plenty of wrestling stuff. They got baseball stuff. They've got football. They got everything, dude. MMA. They got it all, man. And I'm telling you, it's very high quality. Again, 500 level code MP30, 30% off. So if a T-shirt costs you $20, what's 30% off on $20, dude?
It's enough. 10 plus another 20% tacked on top. Not much. It's a steal.
I agree. I want to remind everybody too, the Monte and the Pharaoh show, hit the QR code, be willing to check out our shows on YouTube, where we got almost 24,000 subscribers. Go to our Facebook page where we're approaching 27,000 subscribers. And again, if you feel like donating to the show, please go to the Monte and the Pharaoh webpage, hit donate. Helps us bring in more guests. Trying to entertain Jim. We've got the big event coming up, so a lot of good stuff happening right now.